Yeah, we're rolling for another fragrance review, a little bit of a different one. I've probably said that line several times for different videos, but I thought I'd just round off the year of, round off the year for me of creating my YouTube channel. Obviously, it's kind of like a thank you and a shout out to the few subscribers I have and the people that follow me and obviously comment on the videos or the few videos I've put up. Obviously that's just a kind of a thank you for supporting the channel, from me to you. So I thought I'd do, again, it's kind of a popular theme for people on YouTube to do top 10s and top whatever 20s, hundreds even, for different items. And obviously, as I primarily review hair products and fragrances, I thought it was about time to kind of round up the year with a top 10 over fragrances that I've owned either several of or have a good experience of using, not just over the past year, but obviously some of these that I'm going to mention in a moment I have already done more in-depth detailed reviews of. So without further ado, this is kind of just a rundown of my personal top 10 that I own. It's not in comparison to other people's, and likewise there might be some fragrances on here that some people really like or they don't, but again, as I say, this is just from experience of me using fragrances over the years. And basically the top 10 that I've done isn't just what I would consider for everybody that their top 10. Again, going back to my personal experience with them, and obviously I'll do a breakdown of why I personally rate these my top 10, and hopefully this helps like as a recommendation for people in the future. So we'll go in reverse order rather than start at number one and be controversial. So my number 10 is Bentley Intense Men Intense, sorry, and this is an EDP. I have done a review of this almost over a year ago. This is actually the second bottle of this. This is quite cheap, so obviously I'm not going to have the big in-depth reviews, because most of these, or pretty much all of these, I've already done a review, which you'll be able to find further on the channel if you want more information. So this is more of a going on the price, initial smell, the performance, radiance and so on, and a breakdown and why I include it in my top 10. So pretty much all of these are going to tick all the boxes in terms of what they offer, some more expensive than others, some a bit longer lasting and so on. So we'll try to get through this as best as we can. So the price for this ranges from like £20 to £30. It's probably gone up slightly more, most things have, but this is really good value in terms of performance, in terms of the radiance it gives off. It's above average, so it's good to very good. Radiance, again, that's very personal, because it depends on your own body chemistry and skin and oil levels and all of this, which again, there's no real definitive science behind it, because again, everybody's body is slightly different. The way they perceive smells, be it you're male or female, you detect notes differently as well. So we're not going to go through a note breakdown, we're just going to go through a general. So I do recommend this. This is my top 10. This is number 10. In terms of just to give a breakdown of the smell profile without going right into specifics, is boozy, masculine, strong, more of a winter nighttime clubbing fragrance, although there is flanker versions of this which are slightly weaker or more like day wear. I think there's one called Absolute, but overall I recommend this, and again, it's very popular and it's cheap. So that's number 10. Then we move on to one of my old favourites, gone through many of these over the years. This is Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male. This is an EDT. Even though it's an EDT, the originals, or even this version here, lasts a long time for an EDT, anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. Gives off a good radiance. In terms of price, middle of the road, £60–80 for the large one, slightly more for the 200 ml. Performance is good, radiance is good. Most people would agree that this is more of like summer day fragrance, but because it's fresh and clean, kind of ozonic, sea kind of beach vibes, you could even say you could be wearing it for clubbing. So it's very versatile. That's why it goes into my top 10. Without alluding to one that will go further on in the video, which will be like an upgraded version of this. This goes in at number 9. So minty, clean, fragrance, citrus, top heavy, but it lasts well for an EDT. So this comes in at number 9. Then we move on to number 8, which is Givenchy Play Intense. Unfortunately, this has been discontinued, but more recently I did do a review of a clone of this by Jubilee Scents Inspired, which is basically a clone, exact clone pretty much of this. Thing of the times, obviously you can see it's shaped like an iPad, sadly discontinued, but really good projection, radiance for an EDT. If you can get hold of this, again, if you're looking on eBay, you're looking at like £200–300 plus. And again, I'll allude to another fragrance later on, which has been discontinued, sadly, but this ticks all the boxes. It gets more of a nighty, clubby kind of vibe, not just by the design, but how I perceive it. In terms of the notes, typical Givenchy kind of French classiness about it. Very I don't want to say room filler, but you could detect this out of most of, like, let's say, the common designer fragrances back in the day, and maybe even now, although I don't think many people wear this again because it's very expensive. It's discontinued. So yeah, number 8, Givenchy Play Intense, which is an EDT. Then we move on to number 7, which is Victor and Rolf Spice Bomb. Not a surprise, very popular. I do really like this. Again, kind of winter, nighttime vibes, date scenario, clubbing, going out. It's very loud and projecting. Again, similar to the Bentley Intense. It's very boozy but spicy as well, which I like. The only negative I can say is that it's very loud in such a way that you wouldn't be able to wear this really during the day or summertime, although it could be pulled off in the summer, in the evening, as I alluded to earlier, clubbing environment, that sort of thing. The clue is in the top, with it being a Spice Bomb Extreme. Another negative, it's not that I'm doing negatives of just this one, but just to kind of, again, they've all got pros and cons, is that this is more on the expensive side, but unlike, say, most of the EDPs that I'll mention or that I really like, it tends to stay on my skin very linear, which isn't a bad thing, because again, I think it's very nice, but it's not something that I would wear every day because of that, because I personally think I would get bored of it. I kind of prefer, again, alluding to some of the other EDPs that kind of linger on the skin but change and morph depending on how I heat up and so on. But this is still excellent, and for what it does, it's very radiant, it performs, it lasts ages on skin and clothes. So this comes in at number 7, so Spice Bomb Extreme by Victor and Rolf. Then we move on to, let's get these in the right order, Gucci Homme Pour Homme 2. Again, discontinued fragrance. This is an EDT, bought for me, I remember, as a random Christmas present off my mum many years ago. So I wish I bought up more, because again, buying this on eBay, it's like £200–300 plus now for a sealed bottle, because it's discontinued. Luckily, more recently, I discovered a clone of this by, again, Jubilee Scents, or Jubilee Inspired Scents is the company name. And again, the clone was spot on, a bit like the Givenchy Play. If I was to describe this, it's kind of, again, unlike a lot of the more newer Gucci's, which I wasn't a fan of, although the Gucci Elixir is quite nice, the green one. Never really been a fan of Gucci. It tends to be very, or in my opinion, expensive, but yet the performance radiance wasn't very good. However, on this one, especially in the winter time, there was elements of violet leaves, and I just got a very relaxed feel. I just kind of got, again, an outside Christmassy vibe, but just, again, very classy. Best way to describe it is kind of dates, going out shopping at night in the winter, not just from my own experience, but just how this smell profile comes across to me. So wintertime, nighttime clubbing, fragrance here. Again, very expensive. If you can find a clone of it, ideal. And if you can smell the original, get a sample, I would recommend it. So that comes in at number 6. So Gucci Pour Homme 2. There's 2 versions of this. This is the Pour Homme 2. Pour Homme 1 I've never smelt before. That's probably discontinued as well, I don't know. And then a bit of a surprising entry, a clone. This is Al Haramain, weird bottle shapes. That's a negative. The cap is awful. The bottle shape is awful. It's hard to hold. Al Haramain Detour Exclusive Noir. This is a clone of Leighton Exclusive. So it's very. This is very. I don't want to just say niche because it's just a phrase that gets thrown out there, but this isn't for everyone. This is like a Marmite. You either love it or hate. I really love it. It's very different to anything I've got. It's got oud in there. It's spicy. It's very dark. Clubbing environment, again, night time. Definitely not a summer fragrance, because this is what you class as beast mode in terms of room filling, projecting on my skin, at least on clothes. Very powerful fragrance, again based off of a very popular, albeit niche, Leighton exclusive by Parfums de Marly. So this ticks all of the boxes. Very cheap as well, 20 to 30 pound an EDP. Really can't fault it, albeit I think you would have to smell it and sample it on your own skin, because again, the oud isn't for everyone. There's very dark nuances. There's a bit of spice in there. There's a bit of liveliness and like a electrical kind of, as I say, how I perceive the vibes, how I perceive the profile of the notes. It's like clubbing kind of that. It ticks lots of boxes. You can see why I do rave about this, but again, going into the ones I rate above this, you'll understand why. So this is the only negative with this, is obviously it's not overly versatile, and for a lot of people they might not agree with the oud, which again gives an animalistic quality. I don't want to say like poo and wet dog, but it kind of has a vibe of that, which again you'll be like, what does wet dog and poo smell like? But again, for some people's nose and their whatever the term is for how they detect notes, they might not like this, but unless you like poo and wet dogs. But anyway, so on to number 4. So this is Dior Fahrenheit Le Parfum. So again, many years ago, I experienced the EDT, which again was very strong, projecting. Some people say it's got like petrol note. Again, I don't detect that. I do smell like, again, how I perceive it. This is very versatile. It's not just clubbing or date night. It can be worn in the summer. Even looking at the bottle, it's kind of like at the start as like a sunset into like darkness top. So that's kind of a cool design. Really can't fault this. It's loud, performance, projecting, it ticks all of the boxes. More on the pricier side. Again, I paid over £100 for this. I can't remember the full price off the top of my head, but recommended. So this is Dior Fahrenheit Le Parfum. This comes in at number 4. Where is it? Right, move on to number 3. Not a surprise, but a surprise in the fact that it's a clone. This is Club de Nuit Intense Man EDP, big old black brick, weighty bottle. I've had this for a long time. This is actually based off of, again, this is a term that so many people will hear, but it's true. It's a clone of the original Creed Aventus, which is very expensive now. There's probably thousands or hundreds, to my knowledge, of Creed Aventus clones on the market. This is considered one of the best ones. This is one of the first ones I got to try. I also have a limited edition version of this, but we'll just talk about this one for now. Again, the negative of this is that it's so powerful and so strong that for some people, especially the first half hour to an hour, the lemon top note is very artificial, or like a chemical lemony smell, which is very off-putting. But the dry down is excellent. Again, as I went over in the past with the Spice Bomb being very linear, this actually gets much better as it dries down onto the skin. Smoky, woody, pineapple, citrus top notes sort of fade away. and the bass notes come out more, the woods, sort of a little bit of spice there, and obviously smokiness in the background, but just to get compliments on this, it ticks all the boxes. It used to be fairly cheap. I think the price has gone up a bit, but not too much, anywhere from 30 to 50 pounds. Highly recommended. Again, if you like Creed Aventus, you want a better, more projecting, stronger lasting version, but can get over the first initial hurdle of the lemon pledge or whatever, artificial lemon opening. Highly recommended. And again, I always reach to this. This can be worn in multiple occasions. Always get compliments on this. That's one thing I can say. With some of the more nuanced fragrances I own, such as the Dior Fahrenheit, the Al Haramain Spice Bomb, even the Bentley, some people like it, some people don't. Where this one tends to be, everybody likes it. They always compliment me on this. And again, it's not just it's this special fragrance, it's how you wear it, and again, your own body chemistry, your own skin will, you know, give off different vibes, and again, people smell things differently. So that's number 3. Doing all right for time, cracking them out. So this is Prada Black. This is number 2, or sorry, yeah, Prada Black. I believe the range is Luna Rossa. So again, like Valentino have their own range, Armani Code there's their range, and so on and so forth. But this is a big range. But this was always my favourite. I've tried some of the other ones. There's Ocean. There's a few others. But yeah, this is, again, in terms of smell profile, again, kind of versatile, but more of, again, even the clue in looking at the bottle, it's dark, it's night, it's masculine, it's strong, it's got elements of sweetness there, it ticks all the boxes, projecting, lasts ages on the skin and on clothes. Price is in the more premium range, over £100. But again, can't really draw many negatives, get lots of compliments on this. I'm not going to say it's anything special, but in terms of like just a signature fragrance that you can wear multiple occasions, multiple times a day, you don't really get sick or bored of it, as say with the Spice Bomb, hence why I've knocked that a bit further down. And even the Jean Paul Gaultier, which always used to be a favourite of mine, knocked that a bit further down because it can kind of be very linear. And albeit this is very linear, but it's just something within the formula that, a bit like the Club de Nuit, it's just so wearable and so versatile that I never get sick of it. But again, this is my first bottle of this, whereas the Jean Paul Gaultier I've owned like multiple bottles, so there's an element of that. But I just thought I'd give the heads up that highly recommended, ticks all the boxes, masculine, strong. I think this is something that you would have to smell, because again, I might not be giving it justice in terms of my overall review. I'm not going through the notes. All of these I've done more in-depth reviews. If you care to check them out, feel free. But I just say this is number 2 on my list. I'll also do some shout outs as well for ones that just kind of didn't make it in the top 10, which are again worth considering. So number 1 for me, and probably for a lot of people, very popular kind of reformulation of the original Le Male. This is a slightly darker, more nuanced version. This is Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Le Parfum. What can I say? It's just, again, ticks all the boxes. The price is pretty good on it as well. Just a darker, literally a darker version of this. How I perceive this is all like a zonic, summertime, beachy vibes. It's got the fresh citrus cleanness, and this is like the older, bigger brother. Not just, you know, that I've got the bigger, darker bottle here, but I've had bigger bottles of this as well. But just how I perceive this, it's got like the vanilla sweetness, but it's just kind of like more mysterious, more darker, richer, more, I don't want to say more masculine, because they both are very masculine, hence like even the bottle designs, they're very well liked. You get compliments on both, but I just think that this is an evolution of this, which stays very linear. This is an EDT, and then you've got the EDP, Le Parfum version, which is very strong. One thing I can say is it does remind me, does definitely have the DNA of a Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male. But yeah, just, I can't fault it at all. It's almost like a perfect fragrance for me. I wear this for special occasions only. This isn't something that you want to hammer on either, because it's very strong. It lasts, it feels like all day. That's one thing all of these fragrances have in common. They last 6 to 8 hour plus. In the top half, some of them even last 10 to 12, like the Club de Nuit, the Prada Black, the Fahrenheit, this one. So again, you can kind of see how I've rated some of these, not just on versatility, but price, taking all things into consideration. So number 1, Jean Paul Gaultier Le Parfum. And just to kind of run down some that didn't quite make it, but are very good all the same and recommended. And to finish off the video, Chanel Homme. I believe this is the original. This is Sport. There's an extreme version, and I think more recently they brought out a Super Luga, or however you pronounce it. But just to remind me, yeah, very similar to kind of a Jean Paul Gaultier EDT, and has elements of the Prada Black, just a classic masculine scent, very fresh, clean, citrusy. I think it would have mass appealing. It's expensive though, and it doesn't quite last like some of the others. It doesn't quite project as some of the others. So again, even though this is recommended, this just doesn't quite, for me at least, my personal top 10 doesn't quite make it. Then we, again, very similar to what we've just described in the Chanel Homme. This is Versace Eros EDP. Again, very popular online. I come into this more recently. When I first sampled it years ago, I just really didn't like it. It might have been the bottle, it might have been how it was stored. But yeah, just again, you get the clubbing, summery vibes, but can also be worn at night. Very versatile, kind of expensive for what it is. Does have some syntheticness to the profile of the scent. Very popular. I think that this didn't quite make it because, again, from personal experience, I just feel what I've rated or what I've put into the top 10 is slightly better than this. That's not to say this is bad. By all means, this projects, it performs really well. That's probably the biggest highlight of this. It stays on my skin and clothes for all day, almost for a long time. More on the pricey side, more popular, lots of more people wear this. A bit like Dior Sauvage Elixir, kind of overplayed. It does what it says on the tin, but I prefer to smell a bit different, have slightly different fragrances. So still recommended, but just outside the top 10. Paul Smith London. Again, this is very nice, sort of coconutty, fresh, nighttime vibes. Again, a bit different to what I've got in there. The only issue with this and why it didn't make it, if it was the original, it might have made it in there. This is like a reformulation, slightly weaker, not too bad, but it's also discontinued, so hard to get hold of. More on the pricey side. I think I spent like £60–70 for this off of eBay, but yeah, I have also bought it or managed to buy it online several years ago for like £40–50. So yeah, again, this, you can see why this didn't quite make the top 10, because the original version of it was better. It's discontinued, so it's harder to get hold of. You might not get the original, you might get like a reformulation like this. So it's a shame, but it's different. If you can find it, I'd recommend it, a bit like the other two. So yeah, Paul Smith London, which is an EDP. And then we end on this one. So a bit of a wild card one. I've never heard of Roberto Cavalli. This was bought as a birthday present, I believe, several years ago. EDT. Just, again, different. I like this. Again, I believe this is discontinued as well. If I knew that there was a clone of this, I would probably be willing to try it or buy it, try it, whatever. So it's a Roberto Cavalli Umo. Hard one to describe, unlike the others. It's kind of got elements of like a lipsticky sweetness about it. Elements of classiness, going out, getting dressed up kind of vibe. In terms of price, I don't know. I've not checked this out for years because this was bought for me years ago as a birthday present. But again, it ticks all the boxes for an EDT. On my skin, very projecting. It's loud, it's attention grabbing. Very classy as well. So yeah, so Roberto Cavalli Umo, pretty much gone through them all. And just to recap, thank you for people who have subscribed and give me feedback. Hopefully this video helps to whoever sees it in terms of purchasing fragrances. Again, anyone who knows me and knows that I like to review things honestly. All of these fragrances, and even the ones that didn't make it in the top 10, I would recommend at least trying. And again, trying on the skin, not just on a card, or maybe try it on the card. And if there's certain things you like about it, then try it on the skin. Go away, come back a few hours or whatever into the shop, or ordering it online, and review it yourself, because that's the best way. I learned, and I think a lot of people learn how to review if a fragrance is for them or not. So anyway, ending 2024, this is Liam signing out, and then I'll hopefully do some more reviews in the new year. Again, won't just be fragrances, be hair products. I sometimes do pre-workout powders, might even branch into other things. My background, as I mentioned before, I did used to review products for supplement or sports supplement companies. I've also done written video game reviews many years ago for a company, Electronics Boutique, who are no longer around. There seems to be a running theme with things that I like and things I've done in the past. They're either very hard to get hold of, or they no longer operate. Again, that's probably showing my age. And there we go, and we'll end on that. So thank you again for watching, and any feedback appreciated. So see you in the new year.